You wouldn't believe the stories my grandpa used to spin about that old tree in our backyard. It's off limits, he'd say, and nobody ever dared question him. After he passed, though, curiosity got the best of us. We gathered around, ready to uncover whatever secrets he'd been keeping. What we found beneath the roots left us speechless and questioning everything we knew about Grandpa. Jake sat on the porch, eyes fixated on the old tree that had always been off limits. It was strange sitting there, without Grandpa's presence, his warnings echoing softly in Jake's mind. What was so special about you, old tree? He wondered aloud. Aunt Marcy arrived laden with a picnic basket and her usual chatter. Brought sandwiches, Jake, and some stories about your grandpa, she said, settling into a chair beside him on the porch. Jake smiled, glad for the company and the distraction from his own spiraling thoughts about the tree. You know how Grandpa was, Aunt Marcy started. Always a storyteller, especially about that tree. Jake nodded, eager to hear more and perhaps learn something new. As they nibbled on sandwiches, Aunt Marcy shared her favorite stories about Grandpa. He loved that tree, remember? She said, chuckling. Called it his treasure. The way he'd sit and admire it for hours. He'd always shoo us away. A mix of confusion and admiration colored Jake's words. There was more. He felt it. Oh, and remember the time Grandpa chased off those trespassers? Aunt Marcy laughed, shaking her head. Jake's eyes widened, eager for details. A group of teenagers thought they'd camp out under the tree. Grandpa spotted them from the porch and marched out, waving his cane, she explained. Jake could almost visualize Grandpa's determined stride, the protectiveness in his eyes. He wasn't having any of it. That tree meant everything to him, she added. After Aunt Marcy left, her stories still swirling in his mind, Jake decided to explore the backyard. Got to be something more to it, he mused, stepping around the garden. The evening light stretched shadows across the yard, and the tree seemed to loom larger. As Jake approached, he examined the ground and the bark, seeking any sign, any clue about its significance. Secrets, he thought, didn't like to stay buried forever. The attic, dusty and forgotten, was Jake's next stop in his search for answers. He climbed carefully, the creaky stairs adding to the suspense. Boxes piled high surrounded him, each a potential treasure trove of information. Where do I even start? He said to himself, lifting the lid of a nearby box. Inside, tangled with old curtains and knickknacks, were photo albums and letters hinting at tales long untold. Time to dig deeper. Sitting cross-legged among the dusty relics of the past, Jake flipped through a photo album. Each page revealed familiar faces and places, but it was the letters that caught his eye addressed to names unfamiliar and stained with time. Who could these people be? He wondered, intrigued. Correspondence seemed important to Grandpa, tucked away carefully. Jake sensed the letters were part of the puzzle connecting the dots between the tree and the past. Among the sepia-tone memories, one photograph stood out. It was Grandpa smiling broadly, standing alongside a group of strangers by the backyard tree. Who are they? Jake pondered, tracing their faces with his finger. None of them were family or anyone he'd met before. Why did Grandpa keep this? He thought. Photograph whispered tales of hidden friendships and forgotten days. More than ever, Jake felt driven to uncover the story behind this enigmatic image. The photograph nagged at Jake. Who were these people? And what was their connection to Grandpa and the infamous tree? He asked himself. His mind raced, piecing together the fragments, the stories, the letters, and now this photograph. Had Grandpa confided in these strangers? And if so, why? The truth, he suspected, was rooted deeper than just old tree tales. Questions bubbled up, demanding answers from the past. Jake wandered back to the old tree, thoughts swirling in his head. He couldn't shake the feeling that something important was buried beneath those roots. "What were you hiding, Grandpa?" he murmured in the quiet afternoon. The tree swayed slightly in the breeze, almost as if it was listening. With each rustle of leaves, his curiosity grew stronger. Answers or not, this was where his quest began. After pondering his grandpa's mysterious past, Jake decided to share his thoughts with his old friend, Officer Daniels. "You won't believe what I've been thinking," Jake started, leaning forward. Daniels raised an eyebrow, curious. "It's about that tree," Jake continued, gesturing toward the backyard. "Ever since Grandpa passed, I've been wondering what's buried under there. You got any ideas?" Daniels smiled, always up for a bit of intrigue. He leaned back in his chair, tapping his chin thoughtfully. "I've heard a few local legends about trees like that. Some folks say they're markers for hidden treasures or secrets." "Really?" Jake asked, eyes wide. Daniels chuckled. "Yeah, usually just stories, but who knows? Maybe there's some truth to it. Worth a look, right?" Jake agreed, feeling the thrill of adventure. "Why don't we check it out together? I bet it'll be just like when we were kids exploring the woods." Officer Daniels grinned at the idea. "You know, that sounds like fun. And who can resist a little mystery solving in our own backyard? Let's make it a plan." Their old camaraderie sparked, and they were ready to uncover what Grandpa left behind. "With the plan set," Officer Daniels promised, "I'll bring some digging tools along when we head over." Jake appreciated his friend's enthusiasm, feeling glad he wasn't alone in this. "Great, let's see what we can find." "It could be nothing, but you never know," Jake said, sounding more hopeful than skeptical. They agreed to meet next weekend, leaving Jake with a week of restless anticipation. Certain he was missing something, Jake headed to the town archives, determined to uncover more. The dusty library felt like the perfect setting for a mystery. Hours passed as he flipped through old newspapers. Then a headline caught his eye: Walter Lee's controversial protest. The article revealed Grandpa's leadership in a 1960s protest against local injustice. Jake had never heard about this before. As he kept reading, another article hinted at strange activity in Grandpa's backyard. It mentioned suspected illegal gatherings and late-night meetings right near the tree. Jake couldn't believe no one had mentioned any of this. He'd always thought he knew his grandfather, but now he realized there was an entire side to him hidden from family lore. Officer Daniels came to mind, someone who could help make sense of the mystery. But before reaching out, Jake spoke with Mr. Thompson, an old neighbor. Walter was a man of principle, Mr. Thompson said. Strong beliefs, but there were things he never talked about. Jake listened intently as the man spoke of late-night meetings and stories passed around over the years. People used to joke about treasure buried near that tree, Mr. Thompson said with a chuckle. Part truth, part legend. Jake's curiosity deepened. The protests, the secret meetings, whispers of buried treasure, it was all connected somehow. Mr. Thompson's tales added layers to Grandpa's legacy. Jake paced the living room, imagining what they might find. He paused as Officer Daniels arrived, tools in hand and a grin on his face. They both looked out toward the tree, its looming presence, a challenge waiting to be tackled. They stood near the tree, its shadow stretching over them. What if there was more to Grandpa's past than anyone imagined? They speculated on what might be hidden artifacts, keepsakes, or even a time capsule. With Grandpa, it could be anything. That mystery fueled their efforts as they pushed past fatigue, each minute deepening the intrigue. Needing a break, Jake stepped inside Grandpa's study. He scanned the room, looking for anything that might help make sense of it all. Some clue had to be there. Inside the desk, his hand brushed against an old envelope, yellowed and worn. The handwriting was Grandpa's. Jake froze. The envelope felt heavy with meaning. As he opened it with shaking hands, a story began to unfold. Jake read the note, each word landing heavily. Grandpa wrote, "Don't dig beneath the roots. What I buried was never meant to be found." The warning sent a shiver down Jake's spine. With the letter in hand, Jake hesitated before showing it to Officer Daniels. Daniels read it slowly, his brows furrowing. "This is wild. What do we do now?" Jake, unsure, said, "We keep going, right?" That's what Grandpa would have wanted. With renewed determination, they returned to digging. Then came the sharp sound of metal. Both men dropped to their knees, brushing aside the dirt with urgency. After what felt like hours, they tugged a rusted metal box free. "Newspapers," Jake muttered, pulling one close. As they peeled the paper away, they found strange objects wrapped inside. Each bundle held old, peculiar relics items that didn't immediately make sense. In his hands lay a small bundle of human teeth. Jake recoiled in horror. Why? Why are there teeth in here? The box now felt like something far more sinister than a time capsule. The room grew cold. Jake picked up a yellowed paper. Headlines stared back, reports of missing children, their young faces frozen in time. "No," Jake whispered. "What are these doing in Grandpa's box?" Daniels had no words. The small, horrifying artifacts spoke louder than any story. Each tooth, wrapped in fading newspaper, told of pain and loss and cast a long, unsettling shadow over the man they thought they knew. They sealed the box again, trembling. "We can't leave it," Jake said, "but exposing it might change everything." Over the following days, Jake and Daniels dove into research, poring over decades of newspapers. "Feels like a treasure hunt through time," Jake muttered. Bit by bit, the pieces began to form a picture, one with shadows and hard truths. Daniels pointed to a pattern in the articles. These disappearances, they all align with times Grandpa was here. Jake leaned in. So, they all lead back to this place. The tree, once a symbol of comfort, was now a chilling marker. Digging deeper, they discovered Grandpa's deep involvement in protests and underground activities. The idealized version of Grandpa was fading, replaced by a more complicated reality. "I always thought he was a hero," Jake said. Daniels gave a knowing glance. "It's hard seeing someone you looked up to in a different light. Do we protect his name or seek justice for those kids? Maybe it's about doing what's right for everyone," Daniels responded. The question tore at them. Family loyalty versus doing the right thing. After much deliberation, they made their choice. "We have to report this," Jake said. Daniels agreed. Whatever it costs them, they owed it to truth. Together, they approached the authorities, knowing their actions would leave a mark on their family and the town. Investigators got to work uncovering connections between Grandpa's activism, the disappearances, and a hidden web of secrets. "He was more than just the man we knew," an officer remarked. Jake listened quietly, realizing this story was bigger than his family. As more was revealed, a layered picture of Grandpa emerged, a man torn between noble causes and darker mysteries. "It's like he was fighting a battle we never understood," Daniel said. Jake nodded slowly, accepting that Grandpa was both flawed and human. Jake stood in the backyard, facing the tree that had started it all. The journey had changed him, revealing truths that redefined his family's history. "I forgive you," he whispered to the wind. The legacy was no longer a mystery. It was a complicated truth, and it was finally known.